Hey guys, so I've been practicing my martial arts against my nemesis, the cloaked bandit, for a while now. But I'm thinking I might need something a little different, something a little new. Looking back at the poll, most of you guys wanted weapons and magic, so I'm thinking maybe I'll try incorporating some weapons in this episode. But before I get to that, I will probably make a couple little additions to the combat system. Mostly just, making so NPCs can have stats for one thing. And also making sure the damage scales off of the stats, like the strength stat in this case, right? And then I'm also maybe I'll add a basic stun system, which will probably be reused for the weapons and for the magic. Because this kind of needs a stun system, because right now it's kind of really basic. So I just wanted to make a quick announcement. I decided to start a challenge on my Discord server, which you can find linked in the description below. It is a challenge for you all to compete to come up with storylines, backstories for this game. Then the community will vote on those different backstories, and basically what this is it's a writing challenge. It's not like a long thing. You don't write a book or anything like this. It's a pretty short word limit for the different parts. You need to include a simple world concept, a primary conflict or hook, what drives the main character, otherwise known as the player, and also 2 to 3 key characters, including the main character. The submissions are due next week on Thursday, so July 17th at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here. But there's still time to submit, so if you want to join the Discord server and participate, you're welcome to. The rewards are outlined right here as well. You will actually have content in the game that can be named after you and other things like that. And then the voting will be 3 days, or will run for 3 days after the submission deadline. So even if you don't want to submit something, you can still vote on the different backstories that people came up with in order to choose the backstory for the game. Anyway, thank you to everyone who participates, and I'm excited to see how this goes. So the first thing I'll do is try and give the NPC some stats, which should actually be relatively simple, but it may mean I may need to modify the system a little bit. So right now this stat system, it requires a player object. I think the only thing this player variable is being used for is just keeping track of which stats go to which player. So I might be able to modify this script to just have the option of using a player or using the character model. So what I might do is do player character, like that. So data.player equals player character, class name equals player, then, let me change this up a little bit. I don't think I need 2 variables, because for players, the character is going to be dying and respawning, and this isn't going to update each time it does so. So I'm just going to make one player character variable. I'm just going to set it to this player character. And for actual players, it's going to be the player object. For NPCs, it'll be the model object. So this is going to create a new with the player, and it'll store them all in all data. And we'll modify this to say it could also be a model. So now the name PlayerStats isn't entirely accurate, but I don't think I care enough to change that. Okay, now these are going to need some modification. Anything with self.player in it, you're going to need some modification, which is just these 2. Okay, so if self.player character, I'm going to create a variable that'll make this simpler. Data.isPlayer equals player character.class name equals player. So we're going to have this reference to see if the player is a character, so we can check that down in these functions. So if self.isPlayer, then we'll do this, we'll update the data. Otherwise we don't really care about updating the data. If self.isPlayer, because this is just for updating the UI, right? These signifiers. But the NPC isn't going to have UI for its stats, right? So I think that should do the trick. That should allow us to create a new instance of this for specific NPCs. And so that way the NPCs can also have stats. So then, starting with that, go over to the cloaked bandit NPC. Or maybe I'll put it in base NPC. No, I'll put it in aggressive NPC. I want to put the stats in aggressive NPC. Local player stats. So then we're going to go over here, modules npc.player stats, new character. So this will create a new player stats for every aggressive NPC. So anything that inherits from aggressive NPC will have a player stats. And then what I can do for the cloaked bandit NPCs, I can specify the specific stats. Maybe I'll have them be level 3 or something. Or I could do a random level, I guess. I'll do a level range from 2 to 4, and I'll specify a stat distribution, because I'm going to have it do a random level, and then I'm going to have it randomly assign stats, but it's not going to be completely random, because I want specific NPCs to specialize in specific stats, right? So Cloaked Bandit might have high agility and high strength, for example, right? So what I'll do percentages here. I think strength will be 0.3, agility will be, maybe I'll do 0.2 on strength. So this is going to be 0.6, and this is going to be 0.4 on vitality, or I'll flip those around. Then I'll put 0 on magic and 0 on chaos for these guys. And these should add up to 1. So then I'll have to do, I may need to add a level up function, I think. Just so I don't have to try and math how much experience they'd need to level up. Seems like it'd be tedious. So do self level up, levels gained, self set experience, remaining experience. So this will do the level up code for me right here, where I can specify the amount of levels and the remaining experience. This is just going to use that. But what I can do with this now is I can go over here and do level equals. It's going to start at a level 1. So it's going to be that, except we want to do -1. Because this is going to be a random number from 2 to 4. But we want to increase it by this many levels. And it's already going to be level 1. So increasing it by 1 level will get you to level 2. So -1 will account for that. NPC.PlayerStats, level up. Then we want 0 experience because that's not going to matter. I don't think NPCs are going to gain experience, but I mean, we could have the NPCs level up as they kill players. That would be interesting. And then now we need to apply the stat points. Y equals 1 comma number, or for 1 comma number, or for player stats dot stat points 2. So for every stat point, we want to randomly apply it. Is that the function name? I don't remember what the function name was. Apply stat points with an S. Apply stat points. And then what we want to do is apply 1 stat point. So we need to pick the stat to apply it to. So I'm going to just do some random chance for that. So it won't necessarily always be this percentage, but in general it'll be around this. 1 stat choice, and I'll do roll equals math.random 0.1000 divided by 1000. That'll give me a number from 0 to 1, including 3 decimal places. Equal total equals 0. That name percentage in stat distribution do if roll is less than, or if roll is less than total, and then I want to say total plus equals percentage and stat choice, stat name. Great. So in theory, what this is going to do, it's going to pick a random number from 0 to 1, and then it's going to loop through the stat distribution. It's going to say, okay, well, strength is 0.4, so it's going to add 0.4 to total. So it's going to say, is the roll less than 0.4? In other words, is it less than 40, or a 40% chance, right? If it is, then we choose that stat and we end it. Otherwise, we go on the next stat, we add the next one, so maybe like vitality, right? Then now the total is 0.6. So now if it's between 0.4 and 0.6, the roll, then it's going to choose vitality, and then otherwise it'll choose agility. So now we have the stat name, so stat choice, apply 1 point, and we'll do that for every single one of the points. So I'll do print NPC.PlayerStats. Here it is. So we can see it shows 2 agility, 4 vitality, and 4 strength. So that seems about right. It shows level 2 randomly. But I might try and create like a more organized system for this so I can reuse this for different NPCs. Before that, I'm going to get rid of some of these print statements though, because I don't think I need them anymore. These other ones. So I might do it in aggressive NPC because that's where it's creating the player stats. We do a new function, randomize stat distribution, randomize stat distribution. I'll just call it randomize stats. And then I'm going to take these and move them into the actual module itself. And copy these. Move them into aggressive NPC as well. I don't need this attack damage anymore. So this will be the default. I mean, the default doesn't really matter because I'm going to be changing these for each NPC type. This will be the default stat layout. And this randomized stats function is going to make use of all this code. And then I'm going to run that function just inside here. Randomizing stats, self, for NPC, randomize stats. That should run this function using whichever customization we have for this specific NPC. Printed it right here. You can see now this time it shows level 3. Looks like it's still working the same though. It randomly ended up getting extra strength this time. So it's going to occasionally get different stats, but that should allow for some interesting variety. I mean, technically it's possible for it to get strength every single time, so it'll just have all points in strength. Don't know if that's going to be a bad idea or not, but we'll see. We can change it if we need to. So now that NPCs have some stats, we need to make so those stats actually apply with the attacking. I'm going to make one module that will keep track of how different things will scale with specific stats. So I can keep track of like a function for each thing that scales with different stats. I'm gonna put it in information. Actually, I'll just put it in this stats info thing right here. And the reason I'm doing it on the client or on the inside replicated storage rather than inside the server is in case I want the client to like be able to tell how much damage something is going to do without having to refer to the server. Whenever I'm actually dealing the damage, I'm going to have the server do it. I'm going to have the server run this, and that way it'll prevent exploiters from changing the result, right? Because this will be being ran on the server in that case. But I want it to be available to the client as well, just in case I ever need it. So I'm going to create a new empty table function, stats info dot stat scaling dot, I'm gonna call this melee. I might rename this to be melee server rather than combat server, because combat's a little bit vague. So it's going to specify the strength, there's going to be a number, and it's going to return damage, or I guess a number, it doesn't want me to name it, but it's going to return a number, which is going to be the damage. So then all we're going to do is just return, I don't know, maybe like every strength point gives you an extra 2 damage or something, right? So this is going to need the stats info. So in here is where we have the damage. We're going to do stats info dot stat scaling melee, and now we want to be able to get the player's stats. So I'm going to do that all up here actually. Getting stats and damage. We're going to need the player stats module. So local stats equal to player stats get for player character. Well, damage is equal to stats info. And I believe, is there a type for these stats? I believe there is. Yeah. I'm going to change up this type with player character or is player boolean. Okay, so this can be types.player stats. Stats info dot stat scaling dot melee stats dot strength. I'll call it data instead, because the stats is a keyword. Then just a test print damage. This is going to be damage. Apparently it makes him slow. That's a problem. It doesn't make him so slow. Where did he break? What did I do to break him? So it works for me in a ride punch, but for him it gets stuck on this. It's trying to fire combat server light attack. Oh, I changed it to melee server. That would probably be part of it. And why does it work for me? It's weird. Maybe it's the difference between fire and fire server. I don't know. Yep, it's working now. So he does a lot more damage than me, which is scary. Ouch. My rival has surpassed me. Oh, no, he's bullying me. No. What did I do? What did I do to deserve this? Let's see. No. What? Why is it giving me errors? Why can't I open my menu? Why did my menu break? Okay, where is it trying to fire client? Oh, okay. Is player not set correctly? Is player character. Okay, well now it works. Is it when I die? No. Yes, it's when I die. Oh, I better know what's going on. I probably need to go to the UI and turn on or turn off reset on spawn. That's probably what's broken it. Turn off the die. Okay, that fixed it. Cool. So I need some strength. Oh, well, fine. Be that way. Oh, this needs to be player character. Okay, there we go. Now we've got some strength. Let's see if I can make a comeback against my rival. Haha! Oh, he's strong. He's very strong. Ouch. He's gonna see me. Run away. And stats. Add experience. A bunch. Ha 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 ha. I have tricked you. You cannot defeat me. I am all strength. I have no other stats. Aha, one shot. The next thing I think I might need is, well, I'll set up the stun system. Then I'll set up extra health, like when you use vitality, makes so it gives you health maybe. So for the stun system, I may rely on some old code. Replicated storage, character, insert. I may modify this though. This is state tracker. Considering I have like a whole explanation here, I wonder if I have this in my Discord server. So you may be able to find this in my Discord server. Don't quote me on that though. I could just leave this as is. This may be fine just as is. There's probably better ways to do this, but I don't think it's worth remaking this whole thing when it's perfectly functional. So what I'm going to do in all states, I'm going to do stun, or stunned. Basically this module is used to assign states to a specific character, oftentimes a player, in order to essentially be able to check to prevent the player from doing something if they're in a particular state, right? So maybe you don't want them to run and, I don't know, punch at the same time. Or maybe, you know, if they're stunned, you don't want them to be able to do, well, much of anything. So it allows you to prevent different things from overlapping, mostly just using a simplified if statement using this check state function, but that can check multiple states at the same time and return true or false depending on whether or not any of those states are currently there or not there or whatever. So this damage handler, maybe I'll put it in there. I'm gonna call this damage. I'm gonna do another module in here called damage effects. I guess this is gonna be server-sided, isn't it? Damage handler probably is too, to be honest. I don't know why it won't let me undo to add that back in, but whatever. Yeah, I don't think damage handler is gonna be ran on the, I guess you could do check last hit on the client. Check most damage. I don't know, I mean, I guess it doesn't really hurt, because I mean, it's not like I'm gonna be running this on the client. But I will put damage effects up here. And it's going to have a bunch of utility functions. So then what we're going to do here, I'm going to use this state tracker as well. I'm going to create a value state because I have two different types of states here. I have the regular states and the value states. The regular states are just collection service tags. The value states are specific value objects, or in particular a number value. And the main use to doing a number value as opposed to a collection service tag is that you can have multiple of the same one added. And so if you get stunned once, right, and then you get attacked while you're stunned, we want it to essentially add on the second stun. Not necessarily add the times together, but like we don't want it to glitch out by like trying to remove the first stun while also the second stun's there too, so that it removes that one as well, which would be a thing that would be kind of a problem if we used collection service tags. So by being able to have multiple, I'm actually going to move this into all value states. By being able to have multiple of these stun tags, then it'll allow us to avoid that issue. And we just use these functions to add and remove them. So stun tag tracker.add value state to the attacked character. State name is going to be stunned. I don't think I need this attacker character, so I'm going to get rid of that. Then what I can do, this will return the value object. So I'm going to do task.delay duration stun tag destroy. And then what I can also do is I want to actually stop them from moving during that time. So I'm going to use the movement handler, which is another useful module I made a while back. I have it as part of my framework, even though it's kind of unrelated. And this essentially just makes managing like walk speed and jump power a lot easier when you have multiple things that are affecting it at the same time. It keeps track of like a list of all the things that are affecting the walk speed or the jump power. And it always picks the lowest values from that list. And so maybe you add one thing that slows you down to like 8 walk speed, right? And then you have another thing that stuns you and freezes you in place to 0 walk speed. And then you get rid of that 8 walk speed. You don't want that to then get rid of the 0 walk speed too, right? You want to still have the 0 walk speed until that's gone as well. So you'll be able to avoid weird glitches that happen from overlapping changes. So movement handler, adjust movement, attack character, adjustments, 0, and I'll also do the jump power. Then this returns a function that you can then call to undo that adjust movement, right? So I can do remove freeze like that, and that will get rid of the stun, but it'll let the player move again, assuming there's nothing else stopping them from it. So now then, melee server, we'll do a stun time of half a second. So this will stun the character once they get hit for half a second, and I may consider adding an animation for it as well. I don't think it's working. Okay, well, it is stopping me from moving. The problem is it's not stopping me from attacking. That's what the issue is, which is because I never set it up to do so. So if we go here, checking states, and we need the state tracker. Oops, state tracker.check state. Oh, cool. States. And so there's a few different ways to use this function. One, you can specify all the states you want to exclude. So like, what all things do you not want the player to be able to attack while doing, right? That's when you would specify this table. Or you could specify all the things that the player can do this thing while doing, which would be this excluding table. So you can say like, if we had other tags like, running or dashing or in the middle of an ability or something, right? We could say, okay, well, by default, we want to exclude all of those things, and we don't want any of those things to be able to be done alongside this melee or whatever, right? And then we have a few things that are allowed to be done alongside that, right? Or you could do the other way around. You could say, okay, well, by default, things will be allowed to be coexist, right? But we'll have a few things that we don't want to overlap. And the value states is just its own thing on the side. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to specify some constant variables. So I'm going to do equals states equals, well, nothing at the moment because there's no other states. I'm going to do it the normal route of not including anything by default. And so we'll have to specify everything, but I can change that as we go. Check state, we're going to do player character, we're going to do character states, nil, value states, like that. And then return. So this will, right now all it'll include is the value states, which is the stun. So it'll just essentially return if you are currently stunned. And it'll prevent you from doing an attack. Ouch. I think it works. It's kind of hard to tell. I might add like a flinch animation. My nemesis is too strong. Yeah, I think it works. So the next thing would be like maybe some knockback and a flinch animation. I'm probably going to add both of those to the damage effects as well, so I can reuse those for weapons and for magic. Just because I know that's what you guys actually want, and I kind of haven't gotten to that yet. So let's make some quick animations. This should be pretty simple. Probably want this to be maybe back out. It's pretty good. Pretty simple and straightforward. We'll see how it actually looks in game. Let me rename it. Save as Flinch. Okay. So then this animation, let's put it folder animations, put it in damage effects because that's where it's going to be running. Flinch. Another thing we could do that I've done before that could be interesting is have multiple flinch animations and have which one it does change depending on where you get hit. because that's something cool that you can do with the raycast hitbox stuff, because you can detect the actual physical location that the contact was detected. But I might hold off on that for now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have this flinch function that'll run the stun function with this flinch stun time. So that way the stun function will be something separate we can use, well, separately. Then we'll have a flinch. So we're going to use this flinch function in place of what we have here. So we go down here, I'm going to do flinch instead of stun, and that'll include the stun on its own. Alrighty, so in the flinch, we want to play the animation on the character. And with this, we're probably going to end up playing the animation on the server side, just because this is, the hit detection is going to be running on the server. So in order for it to, like, even if you're hitting another player, it's going to play the animation on the server side, even though you'd normally play the animation on the client. But that should be perfectly fine, because you'd have to fire the client anyway, so that it's just it'll be more efficient to just run it on the server. So let's do playing animation equals anim equals attack local humanoid, attack character, find first humanoid. If humanoid, then anim equals hum.animator, load animation, script.flinch. Script.animations.flinch and anim play, and then stunning, self attack character, flinch stun. So this should actually help us visualize the flinch, so the stun. Kind of looks more like a dodge, weirdly enough. It's also kind of weird when it starts mixing with the hit animations. Yeah, it does look like a dodge. That's how do I make it look less like a dodge? Maybe if the head goes like, maybe I have him kind of falling over. I was worried that would like look weird. But he's like looking like he's about to fall over. But maybe it wouldn't be that weird. I think another thing is if you get hit, we want it to stop your current attacking animation if you are currently attacking. And I'm not sure the best way to do that. First I'll test how this looks. I also want it to make me face him, because right now it's kind of weird where I flinch backwards when he's hitting my back. That should be an easy enough fix. I'll do it here instead of in the flinch function, I think. Let's see. Ignore the thunder outside. I don't know if you can hear that. Rotating face player, uroot.cframe equals cframe.new, uroot.position, and cframe.angles. Here's cframe, better yet, cframe.lookat, uroot.position. Then I need the character's root. Local root equals character, find first child, humanoid root part, if not. So now this will rotate them to face the attacking player. One problem with this is it's also going to include rotation on the X and Z axis. We only want to include the Y axis. So I may need to modify this a little bit. If I can get this, times vector3.new, 1, that'll get rid of the Y component. Or, well, I want to do the opposite of that. I want to only include the Y component. No, I want to get rid of the Y component so it's not looking at the height. And do plus eroot.position.y. So that way, this whole position is going to be on the same height as this position, so that should fix that issue, I think. Why is he not detecting me? Okay, why did he break? There's all kinds of things not working right. Oh, there's error messages, okay. On nil and number? Okay, so it does rotate me to face him, I think. Unless I'm shift locking, obviously. No, it doesn't really. He got me stun locked. Maybe I need dashes. Ouch. So yeah, it's not rotating quite right. I don't know what that's about. Is it based on where we're located? Yeah, it is. So it's always rotating to face that way, I think. It's kind of what it seems like. Yeah, it's always rotating to face that way. Why is that? Oh, that would be why. I put the plus inside the parentheses. So it's just an extra big number on the z-axis. Okay, now it's broken. Which makes sense, actually. Okay. This is getting progressively more complicated. I'll do it times vector3.new, like that. That'll give me a vector 3 with only the z-axis, because that's what I need. Okay, well, it's still wrong. Maybe it's because I want the y-axis, not the z-axis. That might be part of it. One day I'll get things right, without a million attempts. Okay, now it's working. Now it makes me face him whenever I get hit. If I hit him, it should be the same. These are the best fighting mechanics, I will admit. There's kind of not really any strategy to this at the moment. Maybe I need to make the stun time less, because it really shouldn't be that much stun, I don't think. If you get some dashes in there, should be like enough time to like dash out after you get hit. He's sneak attacking me. Yeah, hand-to-hand combat's not working out for me right now. Okay, there we go. Okay, it's weird when we both keep getting stunned by each other at the same time. I don't know if there's a good way to fix that, or why that's even happening to begin with. Okay, now I just got him stunned, so that's nice. So rotate. It's the trick that works in any Roblox game, just rotating around your opponent. Well, maybe not any Roblox game, but a lot. A surprisingly large amount. Whatever. I won't worry about it for now. I think the last thing I'll add is some kind of knockback. So then what I'll do here should be relatively simple. I'm going to rename this velocity to force, probably, based on this impulse thing. because I don't think this is necessarily applying a velocity. I don't know if it's applying a force either, to be honest. I don't remember the physics details of that. Let's see how that works. So then if we do X, so we'll do it on the enemy character in the direction of facing towards the enemy from the attacker, and knockback of 200. I'll create a variable for that so I can change it later easily. I don't want it to be very far. I don't know how far 200 is going to be. Okay, almost nothing. It looks like. What I could do is also specify a duration for the knockback and have it be a constant speed. But I'm going to try some bigger numbers first and see what that does. Okay, that's not bad on the knockback, just like a little bit. Nothing crazy, but it does send them back a little bit. I'm gonna try bigger numbers to see what it looks like. Oh jeez, that's an insane knockback. Yeah, let's go back to that 1000. I think that 1000 is good. Okay, I think now I should get to some other interesting stuff besides melee combat. So I'm not gonna worry about the rest of this for now. We could probably change this and add more details as we go later on. But we have a basic combat system pretty well set up. Okay, so I ended up recording a fair bit of like getting into an inventory system and creating like UI and whatnot, but I think the video is going to be very long if I included all that. So I'm going to end this video here since it's a nice stopping point, and in the next episode I will be working on the inventory system in order to prepare for making like a weapon system and maybe later on like a skill system and whatnot. Either way though, I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm excited to see if who all participates in the challenge, and I will see you next time.